But
it's really
we all
interesting
contribute
why
to
we
it.
have why we have such a scarcity now, you know.
Because there's too many people. Yeah.
You know, many people are just a lot of policy to consult.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on the last one? It's too bad that the people from northern Saskatchewan aren't here to comment on First Nations use of resources and that kind of thing, because they might give a different perspective. My perspective is an economic perspective, okay? I'm not saying what should or shouldn't be, what we should or shouldn't do now with respect to First Nations and Métis people, but I think that's one of the key elements that we see in terms of social. We could put cultural, sustainability versus these other two things. And when you have that kind of thing, you have huge conflict. There was a case a little while ago about the Haida First Nations on the west coast wanted to go out and spear whales. Whales have become, they're fairly scarce, they're not as abundant as they were before, and other parts of society don't consume whale, right? And it's politically incorrect to consume whale in some places. Other places it's perfectly fine. So you have a clash between social sustainability and rights. Do they have a right to do that when that population of whales has gone down?
But
like,
you know,
what persists?
also
Do we
need to
have,
look
hang on
at
a second.
history.
What persists? Do we have social sustainability? Do we allow people to engage in their cultures at the expense of the environment? How do you make that, choice? You can look at the values, but it comes down to a political statement.
But you also need to look at the history, because before in the period of the colonization, a lot of the white women, they are so kind of abused the kind of population of whales because their meat, kind of skin and so
That's true.
like.
So the supply has gone way down.
If you look at the kind of the period of time of the history, who kind of abused more, Aboriginal or white people?
But that's not the issue. We're talking about
Right.
economics, right?
Yeah.
Here's the trade-off. This is the
So
trade-off.
that's
What are the
what
values of these two things and how do we solve those problems? And it's not black and white, but the economic way of thinking allows you to shed light on what the answer might be. So we try to keep what should and shouldn't be out of it and what the values are out of it. Make sense? I don't want to cause World War III here. Okay. So we could argue about this stuff all day long because it's an interesting topic. How we solve those problems, God only knows, because we're not able to solve them now. So you're the next generation. It's going to be up to you to solve these problems.
Like
you guys can argue with each other.
A lot of problems already.
Okay. With respect to sustainability, I might be done next Tuesday. And what I'm going to do is provide 3 examples, they're graphical examples, of resource use. So we're going to talk about forest use, forest management, we're going to look at fisheries, and we're going to look at minerals. So forest is something that we have control over. People own forests. You can prevent people from using them, even if they're government. Like the forest in Saskatchewan is 97% owned by the Crown. So it's provincial land, provincial forest. You can't just go out and start logging outright. You need a permit. You need to go through this big process. You need a management plan. So we're talking about a private good with a lot of property rights, lots of restrictions. Fisheries, we're going to talk about ocean fisheries, where we don't necessarily have a lot of ownership. You own the fish when it's dead in your boat, okay? So we can manage fish stocks somewhat, but not entirely. Not the same way as we can manage forests. Because other people, fish swim, so other people can catch them. We don't have jurisdiction over ocean fisheries when the fish swim out of the 3-mile zone, or whatever area it is. So this forestry and fisheries is going to be a little bit different. These are both renewable. And minerals, we have jurisdiction over this. We have ownership. You need licenses and permits, so it's not like everybody can use it. But this is non-renewable. Okay? So ultimately we run out. How do we deal with sustainability if we're dealing with non-renewable resources? Depends if you think about substitution. Can we substitute resources? How do we manage it in an efficient way, economically efficient, so that we don't run out right away? We want to postpone running out. So we can do that through prices and various other things. So I'm going to, what I will do is develop the models, and they're going to be, you know, forest management's going to look like this. We have production here. We have input here, and then volume. Okay, so I will put together 3 pages, one with each model, and I'll post them before class on Tuesday. So if you don't want to do the graphs and stuff, you'll at least have them. I'll also post my notes for today, and I'm trying to make them more detailed for the people in the north. So you've always got those. And I didn't spell check it or anything like that. And I know I said you guys had to use good grammar and all that stuff, so don't hold it against me when you find some mistakes.